In the picturesque town of Riverbend, life moved at two different paces. On one side were the wealthy elite, with sprawling estates and endless luxuries. On the other side were the hardworking farmers, whose days were defined by toil and resilience. Ethan Caldwell, the heir to a prominent investment firm, was at a crossroads. Born into privilege, his life had been meticulously planned by his father, Richard Caldwell, who valued success above all else. Ethan was expected to follow in his father's footsteps, running the family business and upholding the Caldwell legacy. But Ethan's heart yearned for something more, something real. The pressure of his predetermined path had begun to suffocate him, leaving him restless and searching for meaning. Meanwhile, Sophia Brooks, a humble farmer, spent her days working on the small plot of land she shared with her elderly grandmother. For Sophia, life was simple but fulfilling. She found joy in the earth beneath her hands and the vibrant crops she cultivated. Despite her struggles, she remained optimistic, valuing love, honesty, and hard work over wealth and status. Their worlds couldn't have been more different, yet fate had other plans. A chance encounter would spark a connection that neither could ignore, but their love would be anything but easy. When Ethan met Sophia, he discovered a kind of beauty and strength he had never encountered before. But his feelings for her set the stage for an inevitable clash with Richard, a man who would stop at nothing to protect the Caldwell name, even if it meant breaking his son's heart. Conflict brews, lines are drawn, and a journey begins, one that would challenge everything Ethan and Sophia believed about love, family, and what truly matters. Ethan Caldwell's first visit to Riverbend wasn't planned. After completing a grueling real estate deal in the city, his father suggested a weekend trip to scout potential investment properties. Ethan reluctantly agreed, seeing it as an escape from the monotony of boardrooms and business dinners. Driving through the quiet countryside, Ethan found himself drawn to the charm of Riverbend. As he explored the area, he noticed a small farm at the edge of town. The sight of a woman bent over a garden, her hands deep in the soil, caught his attention. Sophia Brooks was tending to her vegetable patch, humming softly as she worked. The sun illuminated her auburn hair, and despite the sweat on her brow, there was a serene beauty about her. Ethan hesitated but eventually stepped out of his car, curiosity driving him forward. "Excuse me," he called, his voice breaking the stillness. Sophia looked up, startled but not alarmed. "Can I help you?" she asked, brushing dirt off her hands. "I didn't mean to interrupt," Ethan said, offering a polite smile. "I'm just passing through and noticed your farm. It's beautiful." Sophia chuckled, glancing at the modest rows of crops. "Beautiful might be a stretch, but thank you. It's hard work, but it's home." There was something disarming about the way she spoke, direct and genuine. They exchanged a few more words, and Ethan found himself lingering longer than he intended. He admired her passion as she talked about the challenges of farming, the unpredictability of the seasons, and the joy of a successful harvest. For Sophia, Ethan was unlike anyone she'd met. His tailored suit and polished demeanor set him apart, but his genuine interest in her life felt refreshing. As Ethan drove away later that afternoon, he couldn't shake the image of Sophia from his mind. For the first time in a long while, he felt a spark of something unfamiliar, something real. Ethan Caldwell returned to the bustling world of his family's empire, but his thoughts remained fixed on Sophia Brooks. Her laughter, her resilience, and the way her eyes lit up when she spoke about her farm, it was all so different from the superficiality he had grown accustomed to. Determined to see her again, Ethan made frequent trips back to Riverbend, under the pretense of scouting investment opportunities. Each visit deepened their connection, and before long, Ethan realized he was falling for her. One evening, as Ethan sat across from his father, Richard Caldwell, during a formal dinner, he finally admitted the truth. "I've been seeing someone," Ethan said, his voice steady. Richard looked up from his glass of wine, raising a skeptical eyebrow. "And who might that be?" "Her name is Sophia Brooks," Ethan began. "She's a farmer in Riverbend." The room fell silent, tension thickening the air. Richard placed his glass down with deliberate precision. "A farmer?" he said, his tone sharp. "Ethan, tell me this is a passing distraction." "It's not," Ethan replied firmly. "I care about her, and I'm serious about this relationship." Richard's expression hardened. You're serious about a woman who digs in the dirt for a living? Do you realize what this would do to our reputation? The Caldwell name is synonymous with success and prestige, not charity cases. Ethan's jaw tightened. Sophia isn't a charity case. She's hardworking, intelligent, and one of the most genuine people I've ever met. Richard leaned forward, his voice cold. Ethan, if you continue down this path, you will be disowned. No inheritance, no role in the company. You'll throw away everything for someone who can't offer you anything in return. Ethan stood, his voice unwavering. She offers me more than you ever could. Peace, honesty, and love. If that's what it takes, so be it. The tension between father and son reached a boiling point. Richard was determined to protect the family's legacy, while Ethan refused to compromise on what he believed mattered most. Unbeknownst to Ethan, Richard wasn't done. Using his connections, Richard began to dig into Sophia's past, looking for anything he could use to drive her away. Meanwhile, Ethan confided in Sophia about the confrontation. She listened quietly, her expression pained but resolute. I don't want to be the reason you lose your family, Sophia said softly. You're not the reason, Ethan assured her. This has been building for years. My father and I have never seen eye to eye. You're just the first thing in my life I refuse to let him control. Despite the storm brewing around them, Ethan and Sophia vowed to stand together, unaware of the lengths Richard was willing to go to ensure their separation. The next morning, as the sun rose over Riverbend, a sleek black car pulled up to the edge of Sophia's modest farm. From it emerged Richard Caldwell, impeccably dressed and radiating an air of authority. His sharp gaze swept over the humble surroundings with barely concealed disdain. Sophia wiped her hands on her apron as she approached him, her brow furrowed. Mr. Caldwell? She greeted, her tone polite but guarded. What brings you here? Richard wasted no time. Let's not play games, Miss Brooks. I'm here to talk about Ethan. Sophia's expression remained steady, though her heart pounded. Go on. Richard's tone was clipped as he continued. You seem like a reasonable woman. Surely you understand that a relationship between you and my son is unsuitable. Sophia folded her arms, meeting his gaze without flinching. Unsuitable? Because I'm not wealthy or from your world? Precisely, Richard said bluntly. Ethan has a future, a legacy to uphold. You, on the other hand, have nothing to offer but hardship. Sophia took a deep breath, willing herself to stay composed. With all due respect, Mr. Caldwell, Ethan's happiness isn't something that can be bought or controlled. If you knew your son, you'd realize that. Richard's expression darkened. I'm willing to make this easy for you. Walk away and I'll ensure your farm is taken care of. Financially, you'll never have to worry again. Sophia's eyes burned with defiance. I don't want your money, and I won't be bought. Ethan and I didn't choose each other for wealth or status. We chose each other because of who we are. Richard's voice turned cold. Then let me make myself clear. If you stay in his life, I'll see to it that you both lose everything. Is that what you want? Sophia paused, her hands trembling slightly before she steadied herself. I've faced hardship before, Mr. Caldwell. It doesn't scare me. But I won't let you dictate our lives. If Ethan chooses me, that's his decision, not yours. As she spoke, Sophia's voice grew stronger, filled with the quiet conviction of someone who had weathered storms far greater than this. Before Richard could respond, she added one final blow. And one more thing, you should know that my father, Robert Brooks, once trusted you. The betrayal that ruined him didn't just hurt him, it hurt my family. But unlike you, we've learned to live with dignity. Richard froze, the mention of Robert Brooks stirring memories he had long buried. For the first time, he was at a loss for words. As Richard turned and left, Sophia stood tall, her resolve unshaken. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she was determined to face it. Because some things were worth fighting for. Richard Caldwell returned to his opulent office in the city, but Sophia's words echoed in his mind. Robert Brooks. The name stirred a flicker of guilt he hadn't felt in years. He dismissed the memory, convincing himself it had been just business. But as he sat alone, a rare unease crept over him. That night, Ethan confronted his father. You went to see Sophia, didn't you? Ethan demanded, his voice taut with anger. Richard didn't deny it. I did what needed to be done. She doesn't belong in your life. Ethan's fists clenched. Do you even hear yourself? You think everything can be controlled, bought, or discarded, but not this, not her. Richard's composure faltered as Ethan continued. And don't think I don't know about Robert Brooks. Sophia told me everything. Is it true? Did you ruin her father? Richard stiffened, his defenses rising. Robert and I had a disagreement. Business can be ruthless. He wasn't prepared for the demands of our industry. Ethan's voice rose. You call it business, but it cost him everything, and now you're trying to do the same to his daughter. Do you even realize what you've become? Ethan's words struck a nerve. Richard dismissed his son, but that night, alone in his study, he opened the old files he had buried for decades. Among them was a letter from Robert Brooks, written shortly after their partnership ended. Richard, I trusted you, not just with our work, but with the future of my family. You've taken everything from me. I hope, someday, you'll see that success built on betrayal is no success at all. The words hit Richard like a blow. For years, he had justified his actions, but now, faced with the impact of his choices, he felt the weight of his decisions. The next morning, Richard made a call to his private investigator. I need everything you can find on Sophia Brooks and her family. No shortcuts. I need the truth. As he ended the call, Richard leaned back, staring at the skyline. For the first time, he wondered if he could make things right, not for himself, but for Ethan and Sophia. Richard Caldwell arrived unannounced at Sophia's farm early one morning. The sleek car and his imposing presence were as out of place as ever, but this time his demeanor was different. Sophia stepped onto the porch, cautious but curious. Mr. Caldwell, she greeted, her tone steady. What brings you here again? Richard removed his sunglasses, his expression uncharacteristically humble. I came to apologize, he began. For everything. Sophia folded her arms, her gaze steady. Go on. Richard hesitated, the weight of his words evident. His eyes dropped to the ground, as if searching for the strength to continue. I've spent my life chasing success, believing it justified everything I did. But I see now that I was wrong. About you, about Ethan, and about your family. He paused, a faint memory of Robert's laughter flickering in his mind. Robert trusted me, and I betrayed that trust. Seeing Ethan and you together, it reminded me of what I've lost. I don't want to make the same mistake again. He paused, his voice softening. What I did to your father was unforgivable. I took from him because I thought it made me stronger. But all it did was leave a hole I've been trying to fill ever since. Before Sophia could respond, Ethan appeared from the side of the house, holding a small basket of freshly picked apples. He grinned at Sophia as he approached, his casual demeanor a stark contrast to his father's somber presence. Am I interrupting? He teased, placing the basket on the porch. Richard straightened, unsure how to navigate this unexpected moment. But Ethan only gave Sophia a look, one that spoke of quiet reassurance and unwavering trust. Sophia turned back to Richard, her tone softening. We've built something real here, something that doesn't rely on wealth or status. If you want to be part of that, it starts with trust, not control. Later that day, as Richard left the farm, Sophia turned to Ethan, who was playfully tossing an apple in the air. You didn't have to sneak in on that conversation, she said, laughing. And miss the chance to see you in action? Ethan replied, pulling her close. Never. Sophia leaned into him, her voice gentle. No matter what happens, as long as we have this, us, I know we'll be okay. You're my home, Sophia, Ethan said, his forehead resting against hers. No one can take that away. Their laughter and closeness filled the air as the farm, once quiet and solitary, now felt alive with love and possibility. Under the golden glow of a setting sun, Ethan and Sophia stood together on her farm, hand in hand. The once turbulent journey of their love had finally reached a place of peace and acceptance. Nearby, Richard Caldwell watched from a distance, his heart lighter than it had been in decades. As time passed, Ethan and Sophia's love deepened, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. The quiet strength they found in each other became the foundation of their new life. One crisp morning, Under the golden glow of the rising sun, Ethan knelt down in the middle of Sophia's beloved garden, a small wooden box in his hand. The scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers surrounded them as Sophia looked at him in surprise, her hand still holding a basket of vegetables. "Sophia," Ethan began, his voice trembling slightly as he knelt in the soft soil. His heart raced, but his eyes held steady on hers. "You've shown me what it means to live a life full of love and purpose. I've carried this ring with me for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment. I don't want to spend another day without you by my side. Will you marry me?" Sophia's eyes welled with tears and a radiant smile spread across her face. "Yes, Ethan, 1,000 times yes." The two embraced, their laughter echoing through the fields. After their wedding, Ethan made a life-changing decision. He left behind the fast-paced city life and the privileges of his wealth to join Sophia on the farm. Together, they poured their hearts into building a thriving organic farm, cultivating not just crops, but a life rooted in love and simplicity. 2 years later, on a warm spring morning, they received the joyful news that they were expecting a baby. The small farmhouse, once quiet, now buzzed with dreams of a growing family. The story ends on a sunny afternoon, with Ethan, Sophia, and their giggling toddler sitting under the shade of a sprawling apple tree in their orchard. The toddler clumsily bit into an apple, juice running down his chin, making Ethan laugh as he wiped it away. Sophia leaned against Ethan, her head resting on his shoulder, as she watched their child toddle around the grass. "This," Ethan said, picking up another apple and handing it to Sophia, "is the life I always dreamed of." Sophia smiled, her heart full. "And we built it together," she said softly, her fingers brushing his. Their laughter and love filled the orchard, a testament to how far they had come and the joy that awaited them in the years ahead. "This," Ethan said, looking at Sophia and their child, "is the life I always dreamed of." Sophia smiled back, her eyes shining with contentment. "And it's only just the beginning." In that moment, surrounded by the fruits of their labor and the love they had built, the little family of 3 knew they had everything they ever needed. This wasn't just a story about 2 people falling in love. It was about breaking barriers between wealth and humility, ambition and integrity, pride and forgiveness. Ethan and Sophia's love proved that true wealth lies not in possessions or status, but in the relationships we nurture and the values we uphold. Through their resilience, they not only bridged the gap between 2 vastly different worlds, but also inspired a change in a man who had spent his life chasing the wrong legacy. In the end, the greatest inheritance the Caldwells passed on wasn't wealth or power. It was the courage to love without limits and the strength to start anew.